Okay, last time I read the Holy Bible, I recall that Ethiopians were Hebrews. As a matter of fact, the book of Numbers, the 12th chapter, the first verse, Moses married an Ethiopian woman. However, in where we call the holy city, Jerusalem, they are called the N-word. Yes, the N-word. I wonder where that word came from. Let's see, the abolishment of slavery in the United States of America in 1865, and that word continued to transpire even after then, and it made it to Jerusalem. So who is actually controlling Jerusalem? Oh, maybe the Western world and Christianity. Well, I want you to see what's going on. Maybe it's not just happening in the United States of America in terms of the execution of Sonia Massey by a police officer, or Breonna Taylor in her home as well by a police officer. These same things have also taken course in Israel. Listen to this.
For years, Israel's Ethiopian Jewish community has complained over what they see as a pattern of racist violence by police against them. Those frustrations boiled over last night at a demonstration in Tel Aviv. It was called in response to the shooting death of a young Ethiopian Israeli man by officers in disputed circumstances on January 18th in the city of Bat Yam.
And yesterday, after several hours of peaceful protest, activists clashed with police in violent confrontations. 11 were arrested, and police say 6 of their officers were lightly injured. Well, joining us in studio now is Ethiopian-Israeli activist Mazal Bishare. Joins us in the studio. And Mazal, let's a little background here, because certainly our viewers abroad, especially in the U.S., are going to be familiar with this issue, the Black Lives Matter campaign in the U.S. Here in Israel, how severe a problem is it for Ethiopian Israelis, police violence?
Well, I think that we saw it a week ago with the tragic death of Yuda Biadga. I mean, this is how serious it is. It's practically dangerous for us to walk in the street. We feel afraid of police officers, and I don't think that in a democratic state this is a normal situation. The fact is that racism is something that is almost a taboo. No one talks about it, no one wants to listen, everyone would rather think that it's some kind of conspiracy theory in our minds, but when basically we are being discriminated systematically and brutalized for at least 30 years. Young people that were born and raised in Israel do not feel like this is their home. They cannot feel that way when they are being rejected by the institution, and they are being rejected by the Israeli society, and they are being beaten up by the streets.
How is it that we have an activist, a Hebrew activist, among supposedly the Hebrews, which are the Jews, because it is apparent that they're not the same. Moreover, but through Christianity, they themselves use the Israelite, the Jews, which was created in 1948. Yes, after they moved the Pakistani out of the way, they formed their own Bible and scripture and have taught everyone else in the Western world to receive them, although they do not receive Jesus as the Messiah. But however, Christians continue to bash the Muslim and those who are of Islam. Oh, they don't believe that Jesus is the Son of God and that he didn't die for their sins, when in actuality, those who they proclaim to be the people of Jesus Christ in Israel, in terms of, they began to say they are the chosen one, and they don't believe in Jesus at all. You would think that they would confront them that, hey, you need to receive Jesus and this death at the cross. Well, they don't believe that it was Jesus at all. At least from the Quran, it teaches people that Jesus was a Messiah and he was God, Allah, today. Now, what I'm saying, be a believer. But I want you to listen to some more. I want you to watch for yourself. Listen to this.
Let's talk about those protests that we saw yesterday. We saw some of those images there. And as we mentioned, it started peaceful. It turned violent. Were you there? What was your experience of what happened there?
I was there. I was there yesterday from 2 to 8:30 p.m. I was there for 6.5, I think, almost hours. I can tell you that it was very peaceful demonstration. We all felt like we have a responsibility, basically, after the last week, after the last few days, when you could see the police department interviewing in the mainstream media, talking about stereotyping us, a whole community of black Ethiopian young people, Jews that live here in Israel, stereotyping us as brutal, as violent, as dangerous. We knew that we have an extra responsibility to not act that way, and you could feel it. Everyone was very peaceful. We had a large prayer. You had activists talking, and we basically have a very serious, well-defined demands.
So do you think that the point where it turned violent sort of distracted ultimately from the purpose and the message?
I think the fact that we are talking about it here right now, basically we are doing exactly what the police wanted us to do, okay? Out of tens of thousands of people that were there, only 11 were arrested. This happened at the end of the protest at around 9 p.m., okay? And now you're sitting with me and we are talking about the violence that occurred last night.
So
we're not talking about 50% of Ethiopian families living in poverty. We're not talking about the fact that only 3% of cases against corrupt officers are being prosecuted. We are not talking about the full discrimination that we feel here every day.
So let's talk about that. Racism is, of course, not just about a public or just about institutions. It's endemic in all of that. So where do you feel like it needs to start? What's a message you would like to send and how to start to fix that problem?
I think that the first step is a step that no one ever took so far. The first step is to admit and say that there is something wrong here. The police department, instead of pointing the fingers at us and victimizing itself, okay, you have the chief of police saying that it's natural to suspect black people.
I just want to ask you, though, are you in dialogue with the police? The police say there are incidents, we deal with those incidents, but it is not a pattern.
The problem is that we are in dialogue with the police, but the police want to sugarcoat it, okay? We have very certain demands. We want someone outside of the police to investigate the police corruption and the profiling, but instead the chief of police or the ministers say that he will tie up the strength with the community. I don't want it. I don't want your hug. I don't want you petting me in the cheek. What I want is your respect. I want to be able to feel safe in my own home, in my own streets. This is what I want.
Do you see how it's unfortunate that there have to be an activist, someone to go forward for the Ethiopians, even inside of Israel? Can you see that there is a Pandora box that have taken course because of Christianity, what they have established, even this prejudice movement among Israel, the Israelites? Is this a bewitchment? It's a diabolical. What must they do over there? The only solution to this is that just as they assault the Israelites in that particular region, they need to also assault the Hebrews of the Ethiopian. They did walk out of the garden, according to the book of Genesis, the 2nd chapter, the 13th verse. There was a river that compasses Ethiopia. No, get rid of the New Standard Bible that said Cush. Cush is the grandson of Noah. That name did not exist in the garden. It says Ethiopia. It's in Greek when it was translated from Greek. Okay? So keep these things in mind. I want you to be well educated and lean not into your own understanding. Moreover, I want you to study to show that you are approved. Be safe. Be blessed. And be careful out there.